From 13ABC, Conklin and Company, with 13ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First, with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Conklin and Company. Today on the program, we celebrate the great history, the rich history of the Great Lakes with the grand opening of the National Museum of the Great Lakes this weekend. We're going to talk with a couple of folks representing the museum and how you can be a part of it as we go forward. Looking forward to that in segment 2 today. Also, Selling Toledo, the Toledo region. It really does matter where you make it. The new effort to promote Northwest Ohio right here by the Toledo Area Chamber of Commerce. But first, winner take all coming up on May 6th. The primary election in some cases, but this is a special election, the election for District 2 City Council. The seat vacated by now Mayor D. Michael Collins. 4 candidates, a very crowded field, but the winner will take the seat for the next, to finish out the term of the former Toledo City Council Councilman D. Michael Collins, of course, who's now the mayor. Joe Celesta is one of those candidates who joins us now, the fourth and final person. Good morning, Joe, to be on Conklin and Company. We appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate to be here.
All right, so you're it. This will round out the slate, the crowded slate of candidates moving forward for May 6th. First of all, you say you're a developer type of candidate, that you can bring this experience to District 2, South Toledo, parts of West Toledo. And we've all heard about Southwick. We're going to get to the meat of the Southwick issue in just a minute. But describe yourself as a potential developer candidate.
Well, what I bring is from my previous experience working for True North is a lot of development, a lot of changes in the landscape, a lot of growth in the company. Back to Southwick, for a good example, we're probably the first company to invest in the Southwick.
How about True North
area.
itself?
True North itself.
And for folks who are not familiar with True North
is a company
affiliated with Shell.
It's
correct?
Half owned by the Leiden Company, half owned by Shell.
Leiden Company, the local oil company in town.
Yes.
Okay. Shell Leiden Company.
Well, they used to be in town,
okay.
And they moved their headquarters to Brecksville, Ohio. And
True North did.
Yes, they did. And they had they did have a desire to stay here, but nobody picked up the ball and ran with it.
Okay, so you're not taking no for an answer. You ran for city council back in November, one of the at-large seats, and now this opportunity popped up when Mike Collins got elected mayor. What's driving you to run again, Joe?
Well, you know, I come from a family of politicians. My grandfather was mayor of Toledo back in the 50s, and he was part of building Toledo to the great city it once was. And it still is a great city. But I don't think we're running the business the way he thought we should be running Toledo. We've lost a lot of good jobs, a lot, you know, in the hundreds of thousands of jobs in Toledo, and I don't think Toledo is what my grandfather's foresight or what he expected his grandchildren to live in today. I think he expected them always to be financially successful and able to get a job in Toledo, and that's just not here today.
Well, that's all well and good, but Toledo's not the only northern city that has seen an exodus of people, south and west, starting to come back a bit. Would you agree with that from where we were in 08 and 09?
I think we're doing a much better job, but you know, Toledo also, there's a lot of more cities that didn't see any exodus out there. So yes, we saw an exodus.
Northern cities like?
Oh, look at Bryan, Ohio. We didn't see an exodus of companies from Bryan, Ohio. They still have a tendency to maintain their businesses. Maumee has grown in the same time that Toledo has gotten much smaller.
But those are suburban cities. I'm talking about similar cities, Youngstown, Flint, Michigan, from a manufacturing standpoint.
From a manufacturing standpoint, we're a lot different than Youngstown. We were a skilled labor town. A lot of people educated at Maycomber, and Toledo was always known as a skilled labor town, not a labor town. Most of the people working in production were educated with some type of skill, and that's where we came up with great ideas in Toledo.
Okay, well, let's hear your great ideas, Joe, for the Southwick area, first of all,
well,
okay?
Well, District 2, I would solely represent and there's a lot of great ideas out there. We need to, first of all, clean up, and that goes along kind of with Mike Collins' Tidy Towns. We need to, I hate to say it, it looks like a pigsty right now. Southwick does. Southwick Boulevard looks like a pigsty. We need to clean it up, put a little lipstick on that pig, and make it marketable for either a big box or some other type of development.
You think the lipstick needs to go on first before true development can happen?
Yes.
The aesthetics have to come first.
Yeah, and interesting, driving in the business that I was in, I would look at nice corners for gas stations. There's nothing nice about looking at Southwick right now except for True North's gas station that's brand new, that they just put $2.5 million into of an investment there.
Okay, first step, you're elected. You're in office, and we're looking at Southwick right now. We've got it up there, and here you talk about it. Yeah, it's an eyesore. There's no question about that. But you get elected, Joe.
Yes.
What's the first thing you do in addressing that situation?
We pull the landlords together, all the landlords together, not only the Southwick primary, but all along Southwick Boulevard. We've got overgrown shrubbery, the paint's out of date, it's just an outdated, the Stotzenberger building is falling apart, broken windows. We need to clean that up and make it marketable so when people come in, that is the corridor to the city that everybody takes for education. Anybody coming from the university, anybody going to the medical college, Southwick is the corridor from the country, and it's just a horrible thing to look at.
Off the turnpike, you get off the turnpike, you come up there, you come up from Maumee, you run into the Southwick area.
And that's their first impression of Toledo.
Okay, so that's Southwick, but we don't have enough time to address all the things that go into Southwick. But let's go to City Council and talk about some of the issues that are at the forefront right now. For instance, Joe, you talk about being economically feasible, cutting debt. You've been critical of taking money from the CIP budget. And the city pool issue, for instance, has come up time and time again. How do you pay for city pools? 4 pools are now, there's money for 4 pools. North Toledo and say, what about our pools? There's not a lot of money allocated for that. Paul Hicks Hudson has said maybe we can dip into the CIP to help North Toledoans open some of those pools. So if you're elected, where do you stand on that issue? Just for example.
First off, we've got to cut ourselves off the CIP. That's and basically where I stand with that is I think we need to find funding for pools, and I think that they're a good recreation facility, and I think it's very much needed in Toledo to keep the kids busy during the summer. The CIP fund, it's back to the debt. We're managing, Toledo's very much in debt. We've got about $700 million in debt. And we're paying on our bonds, and we're issued bonds like homeowners are issued mortgages. And we have one large unfavorable bond out there. And the problem we have is we've got to wean ourselves off of borrowing out of the CIP fund. I think it's a culmination of everything. We're not looking at the water department correctly. I think we need to, it's another big issue with me.
Well, that's ongoing, right? The water reclamation project is underway, right after years of not being addressed, correct?
Right. It was neglected, pretty much so. Unfortunately, we used to have a rainy day fund. We don't have that anymore. That's been spent. And that was spent in the 90s. And we used to be quite a wealthy city, but we have to start balancing out the money. There's no transparency in the water department, how it's accounted for. A lot of it has to do with municipal accounting. And being a businessman, I learned general acceptance accounting procedures. And a lot of municipalities are using that in order to see the bottom line to avoid any crisis in the future.
Okay, well, you've had your say. I wish we had more time, Joe, but we don't. We've got other folks to get to.
I understand.
Best of luck to you, Bob Vasquez, Marcia Hellman, and the seat holder right now, Matt Cherry. All 4 vying for that seat for the rest of the term. City Council District 2, Joe Celesta. Thank you very much for coming in.
Lee. Okay.
We're going to come back in just a minute. We're going to talk about what's brand new on the east side of the Maumee River, the Marina District, the National Museum of the Great Lakes. When we come